I'm Charles Bennett, and this is an introduction to one of the songs in the Lightwaves song cycle that I was collaborating on with Bob Chilcott. And the song that I want to think about in this short film is the song Bulb. And the nature of this particular song, straight away, is actually the scale is intimate. So, for example, it's exactly the opposite to the song Telescope. There, I wanted to think about time and space and the vast reaches of space that our galaxy takes up. Here, I wanted to think about a much more intimate dimension and a much shorter space, the space between a bedside light and the person in the bed. And the person in the bed is me. This is a poem, really a kind of autobiographical in nature, which none of the others have quite been. So here I wanted to bring in a much more personal dimension. I wanted it to be much more intimate and about just the distance between, well, the distance, the length of my arm between reaching out for the light and turning it on and off, where at night, the last thing I do is turn off the light. And I wanted to think about that approaching darkness in a positive way. I think sometimes we think about darkness as something rather negative. I think it's time to reclaim the night in a sense as a time of goodness, of healing, of something beneficial. So I think the idea of a healing, calming darkness is a good one. And of course, I also wanted to think about that moment at the end of the day. Now, I don't know about you, but quite often as adults, we can have quite a day, and one of the best parts of the day sometimes can be the end of it when we are coming to rest and coming to that kind of renewal that our bodies and our minds experience while they sleep. So I wanted to bring in an intimate dimension, but again, I wanted to use a kind of conversation. So this is a conversation where I speak to an inanimate object that can't possibly reply. And I wanted to just think in that terms of a relationship and that closeness about electricity and about how electricity is something that, again, we largely take for granted, and yet, we are really dependent on. So, for example, if ever there's a power cut, then it's a disaster because so much of our life, the freezer, for example, so much of our life depends on a continuous supply of electricity. And of course, power is something, power supplies and what we call utilities and utility companies. These are things we've all had to reflect on really a great deal more in the early part of the 21st century, and the appropriate ways in which power is made and the appropriate ways in which we might use it and learn how to reuse it. So I wanted to think about all of those things, but here, as I say, the scale is domestic, the tone is intimate and gentle, and if anything, slightly sleepy, perhaps. These are the final thoughts at the end of a long, hard day. And I'll read the poem now, and I'll start with the chorus as I do. Now, the chorus is where I speak to electricity. The verses are where I speak to my bedside light. Electricity, again, is something absolutely marvelous that I don't really understand, although I benefit from it all the time. Electricity, how I wish I understood your shocking kiss. Positive, negative, black or red. cut the wire, put me to bed. So you see how I'm using cliches really from films where we defuse the bomb by cutting the appropriate wire. Here, what we're doing is putting me to sleep, putting that self to bed. Small, tame sun in my bedside light. You wait all day to help me read my book. If my daughter cries, you show me the way to her room. In the dark of morning, you are my winter dawn. You only fell silent once when a storm brought power lines down. You are the you are the idea I have when all my thoughts are over. Comfortable together like an old married couple. At the end of the day, you are there to watch me sleep. Thank you very much.